Welcome back. This is the United and Stormwind card preview evaluation stream podcast VOD. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. Hello. We are doing Hunter. This is one that I have always enjoyed. Just kidding. They've beat me down ever since ever since they got
You're
rid of buckets and
so
then these
it's so
yeah.
depressing watching you review Hunter cards because they'll be like this good Hunter card, and you'll be like, meh, it's a control card, draws me
Yeah, it's a
cards. I
control.
don't want
It
cards.
draws me cards. I don't want it. And let me tell you guys right now, it doesn't really get any better. Okay, they've like Blizzard just likes to troll me and put stuff out that I'm looking at it. I'm just like, what are you doing? The perfect example from last expansion was Sindori Scent Finder, the 4 mana 1/6 that frenzies and then summons 4/1/1 hyenas with rush. I'm just like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. Like this is so like why must you hurt me by printing cards like that? But anyways, let's talk about
We are
hunters.
we are now in a better world for you, Merps. Not only is the meta getting more aggressive, and there's battlegrounds, battle master, waiting around for you to finish your opponents off, and yeah, we also have a really good 0 mana card. You must like that mana number. 0 mana card for Hunter, which is what we're going to start with. Devouring Swarm. Devouring Swarm is
Yeah.
choose an enemy minion. Your minions attack it. Then return any that die to your hand. So not only can your minions, assuming they don't have taunt, can your minions attack face and then still Devouring Swarm your target, but it could potentially give new minions rush, and anything that dies you get the card so that you can continue your assault later on. And this doesn't even use any tempo from your mana pool whatsoever.
Look, it's a good card. We rated it as a B plus.
That's super good.
That's real
For a
good.
0 mana card, B plus is like near unheard of.
Um, it's just like wow, that's a ton of initiative, and if the stuff dies, you're just like getting a decent amount of cards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot to like about it. Like obviously, it's not my cup of tea because this is not really fitting into the sort of decks that I like to play. Not really, anyways. Um, but man, so flexible. It just fits what every class needs now, which is a little bit more initiative. You get the cards back, right? So there's not really such a thing as inefficient trades. I mean, there's still inefficient trades, but like not for card purposes, right? You're able to get it back. Um, really solid. I love the flavor of this as well. B plus. If for some reason you don't like it, just use it. And I think right now you're just not like thinking of all the ways that you're able to use it. Um,
Always
there's
good. Always
it's
useful.
just like always good. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, super, super flexible. I love this card. I actually calculated it quite a few ways, and in some ways of calculation, it's actually an A. I mean, that's why it's a B plus, right? It's very close to an A. This is a really, really freaking good hunter card, like premium hunter card, yeah, and usable in all decks. Um, all right. Next
All right.
up, we have Leatherworking Kit.
Oh God. Leatherworking Kit is a 2 mana 0/3 weapon. After 3 friendly beasts die, draw a beast and give it +1/+1. Lose 1 durability. Man, like
What?
there are ways to dilute the weapon pool, and then there's ways to just take a big poop in the weapon pool. And this is the poop. This is the giant stinker right there. It's an F. It is so bad. This is like a solid F right there. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Next, we have Aimed Shot. Aimed Shot is a 3 mana spell, deal 3 damage. It can go face. Your next hero power deals 2 more damage. That does go face. It's good. Like first of all, this is a card that I really like.
I was about to
Now,
say, this is your card. Remember,
yeah,
like whatever the 5 mana shot is that deals 3 damage to a minion and to your opponent's face.
Cobra Shot. Well, I
Yeah,
mean that
yeah.
sucked.
You
But
drafted Cobra Shot, even though it sucked.
yeah. I mean, I did draft it. So look, this is good. However, our tier list it doesn't always take into account the decks that I like to play. It's a C. I think it's a strong C. I think
Okay,
it's a strong
the
C.
fact that this is
But
3 mana, deal 3 damage, and still a C,
Mhm.
it shows you how good the flexibility of dealing face damage for Hunter is.
right,
Because like five
because
mana deal five, sorry, yeah, 3 mana deal 5 damage to your opponent's face is not like a good card, but yet it's getting such a high rating.
yep. Well, this could deal split damage,
Right,
right? This is
right.
yeah.
But I just mean
Um,
like its face option, right, would be like a
yep.
terrible card, like even in Hunter.
Yep. So it is a C. I mean, for me, I'm picking this over a lot of other cards. But yes, on average, this is a C. All right, let's get to the big daddy, the
Yeah,
big
but
one.
okay. Before we get there, I just want to say, like, aim shot. Like, the reason it's not higher is because these days, and I had the same comment for what was it? The mage deal 2 damage card, where you also like discover a spell. X mana deal X damage is super bad for tempo these days.
Yep.
Like, it used to be about what the tempo is, but now you're like down at least 1/1 in tempo, sometimes 2/2, depending on what turn you play it. So there are real costs to this. Like, get out of the mentality of X damage for X mana is okay. It is not okay, and this is a very tempo driven meta. So,
Also, the thing with Runed Orb that makes it
oh,
good
Rune
is
Orb,
because
yeah,
the initial thing that you have to do is small.
yeah,
Like 2 mana for 2 damage. It's not great, but you know what's good about that? At least it's small, so that
mm-hmm,
you can potentially play the thing that you discover,
yeah,
or you can just discover a little bit faster, right? Um, think about like what happens with Runed Orb if it was like a 5 mana deal 5 damage and then discover. Like in some situations it might be better, but it's a lot more awkward to use, right?
mm-hmm,
It's like very, very awkward to use. You don't actually get to proc a lot of things that you get to proc, like for example with the mage scribes as well. So it's like you have to consider like the X for X thing. There's a give and take, and a lot of the times you're giving a
yeah.
lot.
Like, you don't want to use this until the very end of the game. I mean, that should go without needing to be said, because this could go face, right? So you could use it for lethal. So you want to be saving this, but also because it's bad tempo.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we have Ramming Mount. Ramming Mount is a 3 mana rare spell. Give a minion +2/+2 and immune while attacking. This is a permanent feature on the minion. When it dies, summon a ram. Of course, the ram is +2. It's a 2 mana 2/2 beast that has immune while attacking. So this is something where I spoke with ADWCTA and we had an initial disagreement, and I immediately knew he interpreted this wrong. I was like, do you understand that this keeps the immunity throughout the lifespan of the minion? So what it means is whenever it is not, that player's turn, and then they're like the other player's bumping minions into it, it can get hit. But if this thing is attacking, if the minion that is buffed with Ramming Mount is attacking, it always has immune. As long as it is alive, it has immune while attacking. And that's toxic. So the score that we have right now is an A plus. I wanted it to be an S. I wanted to raise it, but right now it's an A plus. And remember, A plus is
S is
we've
like
only
expendable performers, okay?
Yep. Look, I don't, at the end of the day, I don't really care, right? So remember on the tier list, if we're looking at the score, so we're really looking at the difference between a 280 and something like I don't know, 300, 320,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay. A
So like a
plus is
320.
already freaking insane.
Yeah, an A plus. So we're like on the old tier list, we're debating. It's like, is it a 270, 280, or is it like a 323, 330? That's what we're
This is
debating.
super busted, regardless.
Um, so here is the thing with this card. Once again, some people are just like, wait, I can think of situations where it's like not as good. I totally agree. The problem is, okay, remember what we were talking about, how you're missing initiative. Now, I'm gonna run the situation by you guys. Okay, the hunter has a minion that is of comparable size to your minion. You play something that like maybe covers it a little bit. Remember, you play on curve. They play ramming mount. Already get the super trade because it's immune, and now they have, let's say, what, like 6/6, right? They have a 6/6 at least that didn't take any damage from your thing. You can't play any minions anymore. You have to have that fireball. You have to have that removal.
GG.
Otherwise, you lose on the spot.
GG. Otherwise, you have to spread super freaking wide, right? Like, that's your option. But you can't do it on the early turns. So, like, this is already GG if it's played on curve. But even if it's, like, not on curve on the later turns, you have to put, like, 3 2-drops or something just to, like, stand a chance. And even then, they're still going to get a good trade off you. And then you're going to have to spend, like, 3 cards to take care of this. And then it'll still have a 2/2 body. It's like, it's freaking crazy. Now, there are going to be times where you can't set this up, right? Like, the hunter does need to have initiative in order for this to, like, actually do stuff and, like, be set up. But the hunter's going to have initiative most of the time, like, at least 60% of the time, if not 70, like, or else you're playing hunter wrong, right? So, in those times, hunter wins. If they have ramming mount, they just win. And they don't win by going face. They're just going to have endless card advantage because you can't play minions anymore.
Yeah. So, I see this in chat as well, and people are like, whoa, Merps, wouldn't you go face? And I don't know if people are joking or not. No, I'm trading.
No, you can't. You don't go face with this?
Because you know what happens if I just keep on removing the stuff. They die, because then I continue to put out stuff and then they die. So that just locks up the game, right? The part of the reason I want this to be an S is there are times in which you play this and they, like, you're forcing them in arena to have that hard removal, right? And also, right, they can't even, like, double fishy it. There's no such thing as fishy. They can't stone skin basilisk and then broomstick because there's no broomstick anymore. What is there? Like, you're gonna Amani Warbear this thing at 7 mana? That only deals 5 damage. Pickrock only deals 5 damage at 8 mana. Once again, like, all of these things that we've been talking about, you're like, oh, right. Yeah, you can Spellbreaker it, and that's why Spellbreaker is high, right? Like, yeah, you can Spellbreak it. Yeah, like, what are you doing to this thing? You certainly cannot play minions. Or, I mean, you could. You lose.
And here's the thing that you should, like, if you haven't internalized this, you should have internalized it with the watch post meta. If you can't play minions, you lose. If something triggers off you playing minions, and it makes your opponent get much stronger every time you play a minion, you lose. These things are just... it may be totally balanced for Constructed, it may be terrible for Constructed, and no one ever uses it. But it breaks Arena. Just flat out breaks Arena. This is Watch Post. If the Hunter has the initiative, this is Watch Post. Now, if the Hunter doesn't have the initiative, then they just pay 3 mana for 8 stats, which is good still. Like, that's still good. That would still be like a C. So it's just so all sorts of insane. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, it is silenceable, it is hard removable, it can be countered by spreading wide later on in the game. You could, like, just, like, remove it over the course of several turns, right? You really don't want to use weapons, but it is an option. You could also just, like, output so much more health than the ramming mount can, like, deal with, right? Just, like, out-tempo the hunter regardless of this. It's a tough road, right? That's why it's an A+ card. But, yeah. Like, if this did not need a target, if this were like could just get it, if it had like rush on top of it or something, then it would be like a S tier.
It's just really, oh man, it's just really toxic. You're gonna lose a decent amount of games to hunters in which you're not going to be able to clear them. And here's the thing, you shouldn't always clear hunters. Like the correct play is never to always clear them. You're going to take the risk sometimes, and based on your reading of their hand, based on what you're going to be able to do, be like, I got to leave this up for a turn. It's just by the percentages, it's the most advantageous thing. And sometimes you're going to get punished. And when you get punished, it just means you don't have the hard removal. You don't have that much damage in your hands immediately, and you lose because of
it.
That's
so
very
now you have an extra consideration when you're facing Hunter, right? You have to think, is a ramming mount going to kill me? If you have the choice of removing the opponent's minion or going thing, you have to consider that. And if a ramming mount is going to destroy you, you should probably trade.
Yeah. So I think this is just one of those cards that if you want to talk about the spirit of Arena, right? And you want to talk about things that just kind of break Arena in some ways, and if you were around to face the watch posts, like, watch posts don't always win you the game, right? Like, I think if you played enough during that era, you beat watch post, and you also lost some games in which you played a watch post. Even on turn 3, it happens, right? Just like with ramming mount, that is not the standard that's going to be there. And that can't be the standard. If it was an automatic, when you play this win the game card, well, I don't know. Like, we're not talking about that. But it's how often does it win you the game by having just very, like, it's not asking that much, right? It's not asking that much of you. And when you win, how much of their hand / playability are you disregarding? That matters a lot to me. And this card disregards a lot. They did not have the Hex in their hand. They didn't have, we're losing Devolving Missiles too, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. They didn't have the Hex in hand. They didn't have, like, the Silence, right? The new Spellbreaker thing in hand. They lose. That's just bad, man. That just feels real bad, because you can't even claw back in the traditional way, even the sucky way, but traditional way of being like, okay, I'll play this minion, get value traded, and then I'll use another card to kill it, right? That option's off the table. I know I'm talking a lot about this, but I think it's so unhealthy. I think it's so unhealthy.
It is. It's a terribly designed card. And the worst part is, it's not like, I bet it won't even be used in Constructed.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Next up, Stormwind Piper. This one's gonna get a C. It's a 3-mana 1/6 demon. After this minion attacks, give your beast +1/+1. 3-mana 1/6 bad. After this minion attacks, means it has to live a turn. Although at 6 health, it'll probably live a turn, especially at 1/6.
Yeah, it don't live.
Now, give your beast +1/+1. Super good, especially because you need it to live a turn anyway. So you just play the beast the next turn, and then they all get buffed, and you'll have a bunch of beasts because you're a hunter. So it's a weird card. It's not great for the arena, but it's like workable, right? It like has a role. Not a great 3-drop unless you have follow-ups on 4 with that are beasts. But you know, has a role.
Yep. So it's a C. It's fine. It's okay. All right. Next up, we have Rodent Nest. This works well with the Piper. It is a 4-mana 2/2 Death Rattle. Summon 5 1/1 rats.
That's a lot of rats.
All the rats. That's a lot of rats. A lot of rats. To go with, like, the Piper. Although it's hard to coordinate both of them, because the nest has to die, and then you have to attack with the Piper and everything. Whatever.
Yeah.
But this is a C+. It's good. Like, the initial body isn't great, but you pop it, you get a lot of rats. Not bad. Okay. Next card, we have Imported Tarantula. This is a very interesting card, actually.
It's too interesting. I wish it did less things.
That's the thing, right? Okay. 5 mana, 4/5 beast, tradable. Death Rattle, summon 2/1/1 spiders with poisonous and rush. Question number one, why is this tradable?
Yeah. Seems very unnecessary except for the flavor.
It doesn't. Why does it have to have tradable? As in, when are you trading?
Yeah, like right when you get it in the mulligan. That's when you
Yeah,
trade it.
and even then, it's like, okay,
And you're a
maybe.
hunter, you probably have one drops anyway, you know?
Yeah, so you're like, maybe I trade this. I don't know. But okay, here's the thing. The score is a B plus, and initially I thought like, oh, this could be an A. It's just a little too awkward. Like
Mm.
they made it just a little bit too awkward, such that it's a wrapped golem level. It's not, that A level, which only a handful of cards when you get to. Um, the 4/5 body on 5 mana card, not great. It's hard. Your opponents can make it a little bit hard for you to get the trade, and then once it pops, like your opponent, number one, knows that 2/1/1 poisonous rush spiders are coming out, so they can kind of play around that a little bit. It's not exactly easy for you to kill it off, right? This isn't the body is a little bit tanky. And then of course your opponents can kill it off, and then it's just 2/1/1s that they can kind of take care of. Now I'm listing all these downsides. It's not bad at all, right? It's a B
Hmm.
plus, but these are things that are holding it back from being an A. It's perfectly awkward
Yep.
in all these small little ways. Remember, B plus is still very very good. This is no slouch. You're very happy to get this in your deck. It's just these little things that you're going to notice that are very awkward.
Yep. I mean, this is very good. I don't know what
Very
else to
very
say
good.
about it. All right. Next up, we got Rat King. Rat King, 5 mana, 5/5, rush. Hey, already decent. Death Rattle, go dormant. Oh. Revive after 5 friendly minions die. You're playing Arena, 5 friendly minions are going to die at some point. Probably not that far off, but you're gonna have to wait a bit. But then it comes back. So that's very good. So it is a B.
It's a B. The problem is like after 5 minions die, they could die fairly soon. Like they could, they
It'll
probably
probably take
won't.
3-4 turns though.
Yeah, that's a real issue with it. But it's good. Like it's good. B is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's a very very solid B.
Yep. Finally, we have Rats of Extraordinary Size. I freaking love this card. It's a 6 mana spell. We're gonna end up giving it a B. It's summon 7/1/1 rats. Any that can't fit on the battlefield go into your hand with +4/+4. So 1 mana 5/5s are better than wisps, which means what you're trying to do is to get as many of these into your hand as possible, not
Yeah.
actually summon them into like onto the board.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But if you need
It's
it to
good.
be, it's like a good tempo card too, even for 6 mana, right? 7/1/1s.
Yeah, it's just good in quite a few ways, right? And whatever you give up on the initial turn, right? Because like, let's say you have 4 minions and you play this and you like only get um 3/1/1s, right? And you're like, oh, for 6 mana, I've only developed 3/1/1s. Well, you were pretty ahead anyways, and then you have all of those like you're banking so much tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have four five like 4/5/5 1 mana rats that you're able to just spam on the next turn. So that makes up a lot of what you gave up on the previous turn. It's a great refill. And 5/5 is just, they hit a break point as well. So
Yep.
pretty good.
The 6 mana cost means you can't just like fill up your board and then play this. It's actually hard to fill up your board and play this, but it's just kind of good for all situations.
Good. Yeah. Like, look at the kind of worst case scenario. It's like 6 mana to just summon 7/1/1
Mm.
rats. look, it's not great by any
Yeah.
means. Like, but okay, you filled up your board. They're all beast as well. That means something. So even in like the worst case scenario, it is not so bad.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's Hunter. I'm gonna hate playing against Hunter, and so is everyone else. Not only just because these cards are all annoying as hell to deal with, like all of them. All of these cards
Yeah.
are annoying as hell to deal with. They're all designed to freaking tilt you, but the whole meta is changing into a like tempo wins and then reach wins after that, which plays a lot into what hunters want to do anyway. So it's just going to be rough facing hunters. Um, and then these cards make it even worse to face hunters.
Yep. All right, that's it. I got nothing really more to say. I think ramming mount is going to make a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
That's just it. It's one of those cards where yeah, I also saw people comparing it to Flappy Bird, and yeah, I think the effect in how it makes people feel is similar
But Ramming
in
Mount is
many
much better
ways.
than Flappy Bird.
But ramming mount is better.
Much better.
Yeah.
But
But
it's not
yes,
a
the way
neutral
that people
card,
feel
right?
is
Like
yeah.
Flappy Bird's problem, one of it was that it was a neutral card, so it was in every game. Not everyone's gonna play Hunter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, God, I see a lot of talk in chat about certain cards being like win more, and we've gone over this many times, but especially in this meta, win more is a positive, not a negative. It's not even a neutral. Normally, win more is just a neutral. It's just a neutral description of a card, and people somehow think it's a negative. Like you want to win more because otherwise you lose. Like the comeback cards are only good if you
Okay,
suck
so
and you lose a
here's
lot. Like then yeah, comeback cards are better. But if you're good and you win a lot, then winning more wins you. Like it reduces the RNG screwing you over. Like better players like win more cards more. But
let's change the term because here when people say it's a win more card, it almost sounds like you have
oh, you have
won.
already
Why do
won.
you
Yeah,
need this
secure the
card?
win card, right? Like rather than come back from a bad position card. Like if you're trying to come back from a bad position, that means you've already gotten yourself into a bad position, and so that happens more to bad players than to good players. If you're trying to secure a good position, that happens more with good players than bad players, because players are in good positions more often than bad players are. But in this meta in particular, it's going to be a snowball meta. You're going to have battlegrounds, battle master around. Like everybody wants win more cards. You're going to have tradable merchant. Like all of your whole kit is kind of centered around whoever has the advantage has even more advantage. Those are your good cards, and the vast majority of the cards that are like flipping the board were Ashes of Outlands, and they're gone. They were Skullman's Academy, and they're gone. So if you're trying to not win more, then you're trying to lose in this upcoming meta.
Yep. Let's get away. Like I think that's one thing that has to change. You know how like people are focusing on it's like okay, part of the problem with today's world is like some of the terminology that we use makes it impossible to change,
Yeah.
right? Like to enact actual change because the terminology by itself conveys a certain thing. All right, let's change how we use this in Hearthstone. Win more, I think, is just one of those things that people talk about, and whether intentionally or not, uh, I think it prevents people from seeing what it actually is. Because implicitly when you say win more, it's like I've won. Why do I need this? You have not won yet. If you have won, then nothing matters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we have nothing to talk about. So why are we talking about anything? Because you have already won. Literally nothing. You could draw a wisp. It doesn't matter. Like if the implication there is like you have already won and you don't need this, then you need nothing. So the conversation ends there. Now, what we're actually talking about with win more cards is the game is still in doubt. So it is really just the game is still in doubt, and you are not behind to such a whatever degree, um, and you're just fighting there. You know, you're able to have options, and you're able to fight. What does that sound like? That just sounds like a game, right? Just sounds like a game.
Yeah.
So win more. Let's shift that, right? Because I think this is what people should be talking about as well. Like, so
Mhm.
it's not even win more. It's just win. It's just
Mhm.
like get the win, like play to
Yeah.
win card.
Yeah.
So
But it's
it's not
helping
win
you
more.
if you
It's
already
play
have
to
an
win card.
advantage. It's what the description is, rather than helping you when you have the disadvantage. Like it's an emotional fallacy where you think it's better if you have a disadvantage and you're like saving it, rather than if you have an advantage and you're punishing them harder. That doesn't feel like better. But when it comes to your win rate, they matter the same normally. And what we're saying is in this next upcoming meta, it's actually favorable to keep pushing your advantage because all the good cards are about that. All right.
Yeah.
That's it for Hunter. We talked a lot about Hunter. Next up is Mage, the class that always gets good cards, right?
Always.
Always.
Okay.
All right. See you guys in the next video.
Bye.